Paris Saint-Germain are back-to-back Champions League winners. Arsenal fall at the final hurdle in a European final and let history escape them once again, 20 years after their first Champions League final. First things first, I believed that PSG were the favourites going into the match. They were the defending champions, were in form in the Champions League, and they had a squad which I think is better than Arsenal's, especially the attack with Kvaratskhelia, Dembele and Doué. And obviously in the semi-final second leg against Bayern Munich, they proved they could defend as well. Arsenal, in my opinion, do not have that attacking quality, nowhere near it. Saka, I believe, has stagnated, although he is still Arsenal's star player, the face of the team. Trossard is a decent player, and Gyökeres hasn't been great this season. And yes, he has gotten some crucial goals, but he hasn't hit the heights of what was expected of him. And also the fact that Havertz started ahead of him tells you that Arteta rightly believed that Havertz would be a better option because Havertz scored. But I think we all expected Arsenal to defend and PSG to attack, with Arsenal looking to create chances on the counter. And they got the best start possible by scoring in the 6th minute with Havertz. And Havertz scoring in another Champions League final, which you could say proves he rises to the occasion. Now, he didn't end up winning this time, but that's 2 Champions League finals and 2 goals for 2 London clubs. That allowed Arsenal to just sit back and defend, which I believe they shouldn't have done. I'll tell you why. PSG in the beginning could not progress the ball forward. Arsenal were pressing high in almost like a 4-2-4 formation, and there weren't many gaps or passing lanes for PSG to use. So it was essentially having possession just to have possession. And if Arsenal decided to go for another goal, keeping that pressure up on PSG, then it would have probably been game over. I know Havertz had that chance later on in the first half, which he should have at least got the shot off, and that could have been the second goal. But if Arsenal didn't decide to defend, they could have gotten more chances. PSG were just passing the ball around. They didn't have that focal point. They don't start with a recognised striker. Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Dembele are all wingers. They're not strikers. So without a striker, especially against a team that is doing Arteta-Nacho, it will be difficult to break them down, as PSG proved. I did like the way Doué and Dembele would switch positions every now and then, so they were a bit fluid, but Kvaratskhelia was fixed in that left winger position and he was causing a few issues. So as a match, I believe it was a good match. It was a high quality chess match, essentially attack versus defence. For me, the tactics Arteta used meant Arsenal didn't lose in 120 minutes, so they ended the Champions League season undefeated in normal match time. Yes, they could have tried a bit more to score because PSG had 72% possession and 847 passes compared to Arsenal's 311. There were times in the first half where almost all of the Arsenal players were defending in the box. In the first half. Let me repeat, in the first half. But I can't argue against the scoreline too much because they went to penalties. PSG were not able to score from open play. So that's credit to the Arsenal defence and the tactics. It took a penalty for PSG to score. The penalty incidents were correct in my opinion. Mosquera fouled Kvaratskhelia and Madueke had his arm locked or hooked with Nuno Mendes, albeit not for long. The PSG penalty was a definite penalty. I don't think we can argue with that. The Madueke one was a bit more difficult, and I initially thought it was a penalty, but the replay showed Madueke had his arm around Mendes too, so I think it was fine. Odegaard, or as some people like to call him Odegaard, did not play well. As a captain, to barely feature and affect the game is shocking. In a Champions League final where you need to show up, you're the captain, you need to rally the troops. You did not affect the game at all. Saka didn't have a great game either, and neither did Martinelli when he came on. He should have made a simple pass to, I think it was Madueke, and he couldn't do it. For PSG, Doué didn't have a great game, and Dembele didn't cause too many problems for Arsenal. Kvaratskhelia was the only one making moves, and he obviously won the penalty for PSG that Dembele ultimately scored. Bradley Barcola is a frustrating player, but also fascinating because he does the hard things right, but when it comes to the easy part, he just messes things up. He did it in the Champions League final last year when he should have scored, and he had that one-on-one in the 96th minute against Arsenal where he just messed it up. He had a chance in the last second of the match and his touch before the shot completely screwed him up, and he could have ended the match right then and there. And it's very annoying because he can be such a great player, but his decision making and composure needs to improve big time if he is to make it to that next level or to even stay at PSG. Then we come to penalties. There were some good penalties. I did expect Nuno Mendes to miss, but I did not expect Eze to miss. Because you can tell when a player steps up, you have that feeling that, oh my days, this guy is going to miss. He's going to sky it or it's going to be saved. I had that feeling for sure with Nuno Mendes. I knew he was going to miss. He didn't have the greatest of games, and I just saw in his face he wasn't going to score. Eze, I liked the guy. I was hoping he was going to miss. Yep, I'm going to put some bias in there, but I did not expect him to. And that will hurt, and obviously Gabriel will be hurting too. And according to Arteta, it was planned for Gabriel to take that 5th penalty, but you need an attacker to be taking that penalty, or at least your best penalty taker, or one of them. We can blame Madueke and Zubimendi for not taking one, but if it was pre-planned for Gabriel to take one as the 5th taker, then it is what it is. That was a fatal decision and one that gave PSG their 2nd Champions League. I will say Arsenal can be proud of what they've achieved this season. It could have been a trio of trophies with the Carabao Cup, Premier League and Champions League, but they got the most important trophy to them, and that is the Premier League. As I'm recording this video right now, they're having their parade, they're celebrating, they're being joyful, so the Champions League defeat isn't weighing on them too much because they've finally got that Premier League title after 22 years. But in my opinion, it would have been better if they had won that Champions League 2 for the first time and also doing the double. But that loss, especially losing on penalties, will motivate them. However, I do not think they'll reach the final next year. Arsenal need a better attack with a left winger and maybe someone in the midfield. They could stay ahead of their rivals and go far in the Champions League again if they make those additions. And it's a familiar story for Arsenal under Arteta, being nearly men, but it's not as bad due to them winning the Premier League, like I mentioned, for the first time in 22 years. As for PSG, they could have a dynasty or the beginnings of a dynasty. I don't think they'll reach the final either next year. They've played a lot of matches since last season, but they can be consistent challengers with this group of players and especially an addition of a quality striker, either from Liga or somewhere else. And with that addition, plus maybe a few great bench options, they could be a consistent force in Europe. So PSG are back-to-back champions and history makers. Arsenal are Premier League winners with a Champions League final to their name, but until they solve that attack, the biggest prize in Europe will keep slipping away. And we look forward to the World Cup, where the world's eyes will be on Canada, America and Mexico. Let me know your thoughts about the match. Did it go the way you thought it would go? And were the tactics from each team right? And did the right team win? Did you think PSG deserved to win, or did you think Arsenal deserved to win? Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Just listen to that atmosphere.